Determining what the single worst Mario level is seems like a pretty difficult task. There's literally hundreds of them, so choosing the one you dislike the most might sound impossible. But for me, there's one specific galaxy in Mario Galaxy 2 that stands out as the absolute worst of the worst of any Mario game, Battle Belt Galaxy. I've always had a particular distaste for this level, so I thought it'd be fun to make a video talking about why, about what makes this galaxy so terrible. Just like the Slimy Spring video, I'll start with a run-through of the main power star of the stage, and then I'll talk more at large about the whole stage and its problems. So with that said, let's not waste any more time and get straight to the analysis. First, before even talking about the gameplay, I do want to mention that Battle Belt kinda stands out from the rest of the levels in Galaxy 2 for one simple fact: it's not an actual level with platforming and stuff. Instead, it's just a gauntlet of simple enemies. Now already that seems like a pretty boring idea, but believe me, it's worse than it sounds. Like, a lot worse. And to demonstrate that, what better way than to do a quick description of the first mission of the galaxy? So right away, you start the level on this tiny spherical rock with a single micro Goomba on it. Notice how I didn't use the word planet to describe this? Yeah, that's because calling this thing a planet is honestly too generous. It's ridiculously small and devoid of anything. Seriously, there is just a single micro Goomba and a coin on it, that's it. Well anyway, you defeat the little guy and a sling star spawns and takes you to the next planet, which is a bit more interesting, but it's still just a brown sphere except with a few lava puddles on it. There's also a couple of little cinders, which you defeat to once again spawn a sling star, and you probably understand the gameplay loop by now. This galaxy is just a few planets floating in the middle of nowhere, with each a couple of enemies to kill chained one after the other, and there is basically nothing noteworthy or interesting on them. Again, remember, this level is worse than how its base premise sounds. Keep that in mind, it will become very clear in a few minutes. Also, from now on, I'll keep the descriptions of the planets a lot more brief, because they're just boring and not very interesting to analyze. So, after the lava planet, you have just a rock with urchins on it that you kill with a fire flower, then this little sand area with Krauts to defeat. After that, there's this pumpkin planet, which admittedly has a decently cool design, and you even go inside it to kill a few boos with a Koopa shell. I hope you enjoyed what I just said as much as possible, because this pumpkin planet is legitimately the only compliment I am going to give this galaxy. There is nothing else of quality here. Anyway, that's followed by an ice planet with little birds on it, then a grass planet, which I will talk about more later because this one is special. After that, there's a gravity changing area with a few enemies, and finally a metal planet with a couple silver chumps to kill. Yeah, so already I think you can start to see the issue here. This galaxy is just boring as shit. There's no platforming to do, no interesting challenges, nothing cool visually, not really a precise theme or anything. I mean, this mission is just super underwhelming. But it gets worse, because if we inspect a bit more, we can realize that this level has a ton of stolen assets. Remember the grass planet from earlier? Yeah, that's taken straight out of Galaxy 1. This exact planet comes from Gusty Garden, and it was just copied right into Battle Belt with no changes. It doesn't stop there though, because the music and the skybox are also completely stolen. The music is just from Space Storm Galaxy and the skybox is from Space Junk, so that's cool. This mission is already pretty unfun and tedious to play through, but on top of that, it's completely unoriginal. Like, you can just tell the devs were totally out of ideas here. But that's not the worst part somehow, because if you've been paying attention, you might have realized that I've only been describing a single mission so far, out of 6. And yet, I've basically covered like 90% of the content Battle Belt has to offer. And that's because the other 5 stars in this galaxy are all just the first mission again, with a very slight variation to them, which apparently to the devs warranted them being entirely separate missions. Because why not? That's just some great game design, isn't it? Well, now let's go through all of these other power stars one by one, and that'll rapidly make the reason why I hate this level very obvious and clear. First off, let's start with by far the least offensively terrible one, that being the secret star. I mean, at least this one makes sense taking place in the first mission again, since it's a Hungry Luma star. Not that that really makes it less annoying to replay that mission again. Basically, in this one, you get as many coins as you can on the first half of the level to feed to this Hungry Luma, which then spawns a planet on which you fight Fiery Gobblegut. I personally really don't like this boss, but that's just me. At least this mission has quote-unquote original content. Not fully original, since this boss fight is just a refight of a World 1 boss, but you know, at least it brings something to the table. Sure, in the form of a mid-tier boss fight that you battle on the most flat and boring arena of all time, but that's better than nothing, I suppose. Yeah, so that was it for what is far and away my favorite star of this galaxy. Did I ever tell you guys that I don't like Battle Belt? Anyway, the other main star of this galaxy is a motherfucking f***ing Daredevil run. Yes, there is a Daredevil run in this galaxy. Why? Like, no, actually, why is this here? Are you seriously gonna tell me that completing the first mission again but with 1 HP is a notable challenge that is not entirely unnecessary and futile? Oh, but that's not even the worst of it, because this mission is literally the exact same as the first one, meaning that the 2 checkpoints in the original stage are still here in the Daredevil Comet version. Yep, that's right, the mission that uses the gimmick which is meant to make the player play a stage or boss fight in one go without getting hit a single time, contains checkpoints. This just completely nullifies the base idea of what a Daredevil Comet is supposed to be. There is literally no tension added by the HP loss, because if you get hit, you just respawn at the last checkpoint, so it doesn't matter at all. This is just really adding insult to injury. Already making a Daredevil run of such a piss-easy and horribly boring mission was a terrible idea, but I guess that wasn't enough, and the devs had to go ahead and make it even more easy and boring. Like, what the hell, dude? How are you gonna make an already entirely pointless and unnecessary star even more pointless? How do you even fuck up this badly? Okay, whatever, I'm getting too angry at this, especially considering that we still have 3 whole power stars to cover. But genuinely, this is such poor level design, it's actually baffling. Like, I get that the developers probably had time constraints and they needed to push out 242 stars as fast as they could, so they ended up taking shortcuts and making some super uninspired stages. But like, come on. I don't understand how you can even manage to make a level this fucking awful and lazy. Whatever. Yeah, I have to actually talk about the rest of the stars now, huh? Luckily, they're green stars, and they're also all the exact same, so analyzing them will be very easy. But while I'm speaking of the green stars, you might be wondering, aren't there like, no hiding spots in this galaxy? And if you thought that, congratulations, because you're completely correct. So if there's no way to hide the green stars, or even just to make an interesting challenge surrounding them because there's literally nothing in this galaxy, then where are the green stars placed? Just in plain sight, in the middle of the level. That's it. All 3 of them are like this, and all 3 of them are completely insufferable to collect, because they just make you replay the first mission again for no reason. And if you find it very repetitive and monotonous that I am saying over and over that this galaxy is nothing except replaying the first mission, then good, that's the point. Playing the first mission of this galaxy 6 times is extremely repetitive and monotonous, not to mention super boring, lazy, and incredibly tedious and unfun to sit through. Anyway, back to the green stars. The first one just makes you play the first third of the first mission, and then you do a single backflip to get on top of this cage and collect the star. Then the other 2 follow the exact same formula, except they make you play 2/3 and 3/3 of the level, respectively. I hope I don't have to explain why this is a terrible decision of level design, and why it's absolutely unbearable to play through. I mean, this galaxy in general is that, but the green stars especially sting. Like, why do I have to replay the first star with no changes again? Was 3 times not enough? This galaxy is genuinely so horrible. It is never-ending misery, and playing through each 6 of its missions back-to-back to get footage for this video was the closest thing to torture I have ever experienced in my life. Okay, but back to being serious now, that's why I believe this galaxy is the actual worst Mario level of all time. Because not only does it take a super boring and lazy sounding premise, and not only does it make a horrendously unfun and disappointing mission out of it, but cherry on top, it makes 5 other stars based on the first one, that in theory build off of it, but in practice are just lazy copies that bring absolutely nothing new. So at the end of the day, you're left with an incredibly tedious galaxy where you have to play the same already unfun mission 6 different times with little to no changes each time. That's why this stage is horrible, and honestly, I think it's very representative of the drop in quality of the levels you can witness starting at World 6 in Mario Galaxy 2. A lot of levels at and beyond that point feel extremely lazy, and you can just tell this game was a bit rushed in some areas. Now thankfully Battle Belt is most definitely the worst of it. As much as some other levels near the end of Galaxy 2 can be extremely unoriginal, none of them are quite as horrendously unfun as Battle Belt to me. It really reaches an all-time low of both being very unfun and tedious, and outstandingly unoriginal and devoid of any unique, interesting content. And for all of that, I definitely think it's fair to call it the worst Mario level of all time.